Hi everybody, my name is Brady and I'm a 19th century American historian, and we are back with another React video. And today I am less of a historian and I am more of a Rhode Islander, which should be interesting. The video is top 10 reasons not to move to Rhode Island, the smallest state in the United States. This is where I'm from. I was born here, I've lived here my whole life. I've barely traveled. I've been to a lot of the nearby states, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, stuff like that, New Hampshire, and even Florida. But overall, I'm not a very well-traveled person. I'm kind of content living in a small state. Everything's kind of within a very short distance. I can accomplish pretty much everything I want to do throughout my day. So it's got that going for it. I'm very curious to what directions this guy's going to go as far as taking Rhode Island down a notch, because I'm sure there's a fair share of things to complain about. Taxes, probably. But we'll see. Let's get it started.
Hey, what is going on, everyone? It is time for us to do round 3 of the New England states. So why don't we take a look at Rhode Island? It will be a very small look, so it'll be really quick. Rhode Island is small. It is actually our smallest state in the Union, ranking 50th in size. Being the smallest state, it picked up a cute little nickname, Little Rhodey. It also has another nickname. They're called the Ocean State, but Little Rhodey, I guess that makes more sense. They're so small.
Nobody really calls it Lil Rhodey. It's a nickname that very few people would actually use in conversation. But yeah, another nickname, I guess not really a nickname. I'm sure there's a better word for it. Until recently would have been Rhode Island. Because the full name of the state, which was changed during the past election, there was a vote to see if we're going to change the name from State of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations, which was previously the longest name for a state in the United States. That was like the official title, even though everybody just called it Rhode Island. So we decided we're going to change it from State of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations to just Rhode Island, which isn't that much of a change for anybody because we were all just calling it Rhode Island anyway. And as far as the size goes, one thing interesting about Rhode Island, despite the fact that it is very small, its population density is rather high. There's a lot of people packed into a pretty small space, so that's kind of a cool fact.
Rhode Island is so small, it's said that if you miss your exit on the interstate, any place in Rhode Island, you will be in another state before you find another off-ramp. That's an exaggeration, obviously, but if this does happen to you and you're heading west, you're going to end up in Connecticut, and my advice to you is stay on the interstate till you find something going northbound and get off in Massachusetts. Connecticut sucks.
Ooh, he exaggerates a little bit, but I could drive for like 20 minutes and be in Connecticut. I could accidentally find myself in Connecticut. That is definitely true there. I'm a little bit further from Massachusetts, but I guess depending on where you land in the state, even if you're traveling from the opposite end of the state, it's really not that far of a journey to get to Massachusetts or Connecticut.
Everyone knows it. Rhode Island, if you look at it on a map, kind of looks like it belongs to Connecticut, or like it did at one point. It's almost like Connecticut lost a bet and lost some land. See how it is right here? Rhode Island is the 50th state in size. Like I said, they're 44th in population, and they are the 13th state, lucky number 13, to be admitted into the Union.
The 13th state to be admitted into the Union is because we always drag our heels. We really didn't want to be in the Union at the time. A lot of people were against the new Constitution at the time, so that was a huge thing. And that's something that I'm looking to study a lot more going forward. I want to get into the Rhode Island archives a little bit and really look into that period, because I think that's a really fascinating time. As far as the connection to Connecticut goes, while we look geographically like we fit in more with Connecticut, we historically tend to connect more to Massachusetts. We kind of branched off of Massachusetts. Our founder, Roger Williams, he came from Massachusetts actually seeking a degree of religious freedom. A lot of the time when they talk about people coming from the old world to the new world for religious freedom, to decent degree, that the phrasing is a little bit misleading because they want freedom for their sect of religion and they want to be able to put down other sects of religion. They just happen to not be working out well over there. So Roger Williams, he kind of got the boot from Massachusetts, and then bam, we got Rhode Island. It's a very interesting story. There's a lot more to it, but that's the short version.
And they are the 13th state, lucky number 13, to be admitted into the Union. That happened on May 29th, 1790, not too long after we became a country. The state has a high cost of living, which is typical for the northeastern states. Rhode Island also has a higher than average unemployment rate. They don't have a lot of room for people to move in there because they're so small. Not a lot of people leave there, so they rarely get people moving in there. It's weird. Some people still want to move there. You might be one of them. So if you're thinking about moving to Rhode Island, you should watch my top 10 reasons not to move to Rhode Island.
One thing that I found interesting, and it's kind of anecdotal, it seems a lot of old people will either move into Rhode Island or out of Rhode Island, and that's really when people make the call, but they live a lot of their earlier lives not really moving around here. Our symbol is an anchor, and the kind of joke is that you are anchored down in Rhode Island. Once you're here, you're not getting out. But some people later in life make the choice to get out. I mean, some people all throughout their lives do. It's not a real rule. It's just something that people kind of point out because it seems as though people don't leave.
Number 10. Not much beach time. Rhode Islanders are all about the ocean. They boat, they fish, they look at sunrises across the ocean. It sustains a good seafood industry, but they don't do much swimming in the ocean. Rhode Island's coast is freezing most of the year, so they might go swimming in the ocean maybe once or twice on the hottest days of the year, but that's about it.
Bull. No. Rhode Islanders, we'll jump into the freezing water regardless. We will not be having a good time, but we have like this Nordic complex I've found in a lot of people. Like they really want to be able to tough it out through the cold. And people, to get their beach time, they will endure a lot. So that once or twice thing, not necessarily true. Should it be once or twice? Would it be smart if they just saved it for the nice times of the year? Yeah. But the fact that there is kind of it's cold for a good portion of the year, that does make the beach time kind of special. I don't give a crap about the beach because I just am scared of the water or whatever. But, and it's probably not the best place for me to live then, but it's not too bad. It is very much packed during that brief window in the summer, and sometimes leaning into the fall when people are hanging out at the beach.
There's only so much shrinkage a man can handle. Number 9. Taxes.
Yeah.
When it comes to taxes, Rhode Island is the third worst in the nation. Much like their neighboring state, Connecticut, they kind of stick it to the residents. They're a little over 25% higher than the national average. Why does a state that small need so much money? They don't have the fewest residents, so they have more people taxed. They do have less roads than most other states, fewer bridges, fewer cops, and fewer natural disasters, unless you, of course, count ex-Providence Mayor Buddy Cianci.
Ooh. Cianci, that's a big conversation. I'll stick with taxes, I guess, because that's a huge can of worms that I don't know if I'm even ready for that conversation. But when it comes to taxation, it sometimes feels like the money is not going anywhere because our roads are kind of garbage. That's a product of the climate. We have lots of potholes and stuff, and it always seems like they're doing road work, but they can never really keep up with it. We do have some good things that come out of taxation. 2 years of community college out of high school are covered, which I thought was really cool, although I didn't get that. They passed that a little bit late for me. I didn't get the 2 free years of community college. But what I've heard, though I don't have any data behind this, the the way it's implemented, like you have to take like a lot of classes. I don't know if that's true or not, because I didn't hear it from somebody who went to community college here, but like you have to take a lot of classes, like 5 courses or whatever. And that's a lot for people just coming out of high school who haven't really adapted yet, so it causes a lot of people to fail those first 2 years. But on principle, I like that we got the 2 years of community college afterwards.
Disasters, unless you, of course, count ex-Providence Mayor Buddy Cianci. Number 8. They just don't learn as a state. The state of Rhode Island, and Providence in general, which Providence is a city, but it takes up most of the state, had a mayor named Buddy Cianci.
It doesn't really take up most... Maybe they're talking about people, like how many people it is, because it doesn't really take up most of the state. We have a lot of woods, though, so do we really want to count that?
Buddy Cianci burned them twice. These people just don't learn. Buddy Cianci was the mayor of Providence from 1975 to 1984. He resigned in 1984 after he pled no contest, basically, they have some other term for it there, to assaulting a man who he thought was playing slap and tickle with his wife. And
this is the funny thing. Buddy Cianci, he is very popular with the older generation. I wouldn't know as much about him in real time because I think he was out the door in 01 or something like that. I'm not even completely sure. He's dead now, but I believe he was out the door in 01, and I, of course, was not paying attention then because I was 5 or something like that. I'm not sure. I don't know. Something like that. His first term, I don't care as much about this stuff. Like, okay, he got into a scrap with somebody who he thought was having a good time with his wife. That's whatever. I think we can get past that. His second time around, his second resignation was a little bit more sketchy. I'm sure he's going to talk about that.
In 1991, he was elected mayor again and was in office for over a decade. In September of 2002, Cianci was sentenced to serve 5 years in federal prison for racketeering and a few other charges and was forced to resign. And at another point, he was looking to rep Rhode Island in the Senate. Shouldn't they have learned after the first conviction? I mean, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. It sounds like they're pretty loyal to the dude who's since passed away, but come on, people.
Yeah, like I said, it's a generational thing. My generation doesn't give a crap about him because we didn't know him. But the older generation, there's a huge segment of people that really loved him. And not for nothing, from what I'm aware, he had like a huge role in building the Providence economy to being what it was, or what it, not what it is, because it seems like it's going downhill a little bit, but he kind of built it, it kind of got to its peak under him, I suppose, is the best way of describing it. So it wasn't for nothing that they like him. But once you've exposed yourself as corruptible, I don't think you should be allowed back in that sense. In a sense, everybody's corruptible, but when you're trying to profit too much off of a public position, racketeering, that's not cool.
Number 7. Potholes.
I mentioned
the Ocean
this.
State has serious swings in temperature throughout the year. This wreaks havoc on the roads. All those tax dollars don't appear to be going towards any proactive programs on pothole eradication or anything like that. Is it just me, or does everyone spell check try and change eradication to erection? I'm never buying an open box computer again.
So yeah, the potholes things, and I don't know exactly how it works. I feel like I've had it explained to me, but I've forgotten. I thought it was like, water gets in between the cracks in the road, and then it freezes, and then it melts, and all of this ends up causing lots of breakage in there, and that's a huge product of how our weather conditions are not lovely. It seems like they're always doing road work. I've said this, but it feels like they just can't keep up with how quickly the damage is caused. And I see that road work is happening. It's always happening near where I am. I don't know about other people's cases, but yeah, I don't know what it's going to take. Maybe they're not doing... Maybe they need to invest in something a little bit more stable. I know nothing about road work or whatever, but it feels like whatever they're doing, it breaks rather easy. But like I said, what am I to suggest? I have no knowledge.
Number 6. You better like seafood and
Oh,
Johnny
yeah.
cakes. Now, this is a theme for most coastal
Wait,
states.
and what?
You better like seafood and Johnny cakes.
Johnny
now, this
cakes.
is a theme for most coastal states, but it is really big in Rhode Island. They eat a ton of seafood and are really big into squid. I've never been a squid fan. It doesn't even sound like something you should eat, but they eat a ton of it there. Now, this isn't a big...
In my experience, we don't have like that much squid going. Maybe we have. Maybe I'm just blind to it or whatever. I like calamari, fried calamari. It barely tastes like squid. I wouldn't eat if I'm eating it. It doesn't really look like this. I don't know if you've had like fried clams or whatever. It probably wouldn't look all that much different from that. Some ways people make it, they look like tiny onion rings that just aren't connected. That's what fried calamari looks like. But I wouldn't eat like anything like the picture he's showing here. I'm personally, I don't see that around like crazy, but maybe I just don't get out enough or something like that. What's a Johnny cake?
Big deal if you're from a coastal area, but if you're from the Midwest or Southwest, be prepared. They eat a ton of seafood. Now, like I said, Johnny cakes.
Yeah, what's
they are
that?
Pancakes. Pancakes are typically made from flour, eggs, milk, and butter, while Johnny cakes are made from cornmeal. They may look the same, but they taste way different. That's not really deterrent for moving someplace. Just be prepared.
I didn't know about this. Apparently, this is a thing. If it is a thing, and everybody else in Rhode Island is aware of this, that is fine, but like I was totally not aware Johnny cakes I didn't even know the term when he said it, so I guess it's not that widespread.
Number 5. It's boring. Yeah, it is. It's been voted several times as the most boring state. Ask anyone under the age of 50.
By who?
Anyone over 50 will tell you that's false. This place is a blast because they love board games, reading the newspaper, and chasing kids off their lawn.
What can I say? I chose to be a liberal arts major. Who am I to say that Rhode Island's an exciting place? Who am I to say that any place that I'm comfortable is an exciting place? Because I guess my personality would, work better for a more quiet place where there's not too much going on to overwhelm me or whatever. People always say that it's boring from here, and I wonder what they're looking for in other places. And I'm always curious about, like, what would they need added to Rhode Island to make it not boring for them? Do we need an amusement park? Do we need roller coasters? Will that make it not boring? I feel like that'll make it not boring.
Number 4, accents. These people don't just have one accent. Now, again, this isn't a reason not to move here. It's just something to keep in mind, so stop typing. I always get a handful of those locals in every state or city video that find this one and they just latch onto it and they don't let it go. Let it go. I'm not making laws here, I'm making observations. Moving on. Their accent sounds like Boston sometimes and Brooklyn other times. It really sounds like a mix of 2 or 3 slangs mixed together with a smattering of F-bombs.
You know, he's not wrong. I don't know if you've ever seen Family Guy. You probably have. Weirdly enough, Peter Griffin is not all that much different with the way he talks, like, from like my aunt or whatever. Like, and it seems to be a lot of the older people as well, because I don't have a very distinct Rhode Island accent. I have little things that slip through, but I don't have it as distinct as a lot of other people do, like from my mother or father's generation. We drop the R's a lot. So the best example is the word hard. I say hard. You probably say hard. A real Rhode Islander would say hard. I even start to slip into the Peter Griffin voice when I'm doing it because it's not really natural for me, but it's instead of hard, it's hard. Hard. It sounds weird because it's not natural for me, but it's how a lot of people talk. A lot of R dropping, and there's a lot of other things, but that's one of the big things. And it does have a mix of New York and Boston stuff going on here, kind of thrown in because we are so close to them all.
Number 3. Winters in Rhode Island. Be prepared for
We
winters
have
in Rhode
winter,
Island
yes.
because they get bad and they can be pretty brutal. The average temperature between December and February is around 32 degrees, so snow is a definite possibility. Being unprepared could leave you without your car for a week when it gets buried in the snow. It snows here, and it gets bad quick. A friend of mine from high school, when she moved to Rhode Island from Los Angeles, she said the first thing she learned was in winter, make sure you're always wearing a thick sweater or a padded bra. She said that was the first thing she learned, and nobody told her about it, so she thought I should pass that on.
It is a problem. I've had days where I wasn't able to go to school or work because the snowplow didn't come by yet, and the snow was so bad. More in the case of work for that, because if it's school, like it in a I guess pre-distance learning world, and that now they could just tell you go on the computer, we're gonna do it from there. But in a pre-distance learning world, we had school cancellations all the time. But with work, I had days where I just couldn't get my car to my place of work. So there was nothing I could really do about that. But yeah, the snow can be pretty brutal.
Number 2, depression. The smallest state in the U.S. is also the saddest.
Oh, really?
9.46% of Rhode Island residents reported at least one major depressive episode in the past year. This is by far the highest number on the study. Now, this one's serious and I won't make a joke here, but it's bad in the Ocean State. They also have an extremely high number of people medicated for depression. This is definitely one you need to consider before you relocate to Rhode Island.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to be around depressed people. But really, I guess I can't really... Anecdotally, I get this. Because I've been around a lot of depressed people. I get deeply depressed. I get little episodes here and there. I wouldn't consider myself as bad as a lot of other people who have it much worse than me. I would say I've always been a little bit... I've never felt the need to take medication. Though some have recommended it, but overall, yeah, I've seen a lot of this, and it's not. I didn't know this for sure, but it's not at all surprising when you tell me so. I guess there's not much to say about that. That is what it is.
And number 1. Limited job opportunities. Recent college grads and people looking to relocate will have quite a hard time finding a career here. The largest employers in Providence are Brown University and Rhode Island Hospital. It's kind of competitive to obtain a job here in this state. Now, I brought up Providence because that's where 90% of the employers are in the state of Rhode Island. But living in a small state like this, you should already expect your job opportunities to be limited, but it's especially bad these days in Rhode Island. It's definitely something you want to make sure you have before you go to Rhode Island. Unless you're just looking to grab a fishing job, chances are you'll be able to find that there. It won't be as exciting as Deadliest Catch, but still, at least you get a job, right?
That's a very interesting one because I'm in a uniquely bad situation because of, when it comes to this. They say that in Rhode Island, if you want to get a good job, you better know somebody. I'm sure they say that other places too, but it is very much a thing here. My last job, I got it because all my references were people who were working at the place that I happened to be applying. I just happened to know the right people, and it worked out for me. And I happened to choose a field that has very few jobs in a state that has very few jobs. It isn't that smart. So yeah, don't be a liberal arts major unless you really want it. Because even if you're in a place that has a lot of jobs normally, it's a field that doesn't have a lot of jobs in it. So that's scary. But that's how it be, you know? If you love it, you gotta go for it.
Alright, so that's my top 10 reasons not to move to Rhode Island. Rhode Island is a beautiful state with great people. It's just got some problems like every place else. I'm just here to point them out. Don't forget all the links below. Everybody, have a great day. Be nice to each other.
That's a nice end. Like I said, I think I said it, this guy did another video on reasons to move to Rhode Island. I'd love to check that one out in the future. Yeah, a lot about this is very true. It's clearly done from an outside perspective, but there's a lot right about this. And I still like Rhode Island. I don't have a problem with it. I am a simple person, though, so I'm not nearly as picky about this stuff as some other people are. If I had to move somewhere else, I don't know where I would go. I don't know where I'd want to be. It's hard to say. There's a lot of options. A lot of the places that look good to me really aren't that far off. It'd probably be somewhere else in New England. But that's just me. I hope you guys liked this video. I thought it was fun, kind of playing around with something a little bit more local to me. If there are any other videos regarding maybe Rhode Island, maybe geography, anything like that, let me know. Pop them in the comment section below. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like this video if you like this video, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.